Okay, just recapping last week to start. You know, it was fun to see our guys back on the field, and 17 guys played their first snaps for us in the game, which was a lot, a lot. And 10 were true freshmen, 3 redshirt freshmen, the 2 transfers, and 2 guys that have been here for a while. And so quite a few guys taking the field, and I thought the product was pretty good. You know, there's things we want to do better, but I thought our guys played hard. There's a lot of great effort, a lot of great contact, a lot of physical blocks, physical tackles, pursuit, energy, passion. I mean, all the things you look for. But, you know, the things that really stick out to me, we were +2 in turnover margin. We won the line of scrimmage, which was a challenge to our guys in a game like that, an in-state game, particularly when there's so much said, you know, between the hiring of their new coach and how much they wanted to make it different. You know, for us to have 6.1 yards a carry, 191 yards rushing to their 41 yards rushing, 1.4 yards a carry, speaks to the demeanor of our football team, and that's something that's really important for us culture-wise, is to be a physical group of guys that could win on the line of scrimmage. 9 explosive plays, 2 were for touchdowns, and they had 3 and no touchdowns, which was one of our keys to victory on defense. We had 11 plays in their backfield, 3 sacks, 8 TFLs to their 3, and again, did not have any sacks in a game with that many offensive linemen rotating in. I think is a credit to those guys up front. On first down, we averaged 8 yards per play on first down, which is, if we can keep doing that, obviously good things are ahead. Negatives, you know, I thought on third down offensively, we were not crisp, whether it was a drop pass or route depth being short or a misread at quarterback. Just wasn't the way a lot of the game went to me, and that affected our ability to stay on the field in the first 3 quarters. Could have scored a lot more points, could have had a lot more time of possession, and something we got to get better at, and will. The 2 pre-snap penalties, you know, we jumped off sides on defense on a 3rd and short, which is something that we preach a lot, and then on offense, a false start by McGirt. So 2 of the 6 penalties are things we can control. And then our lane integrity and our kickoff coverage. A lot of young guys on that unit that'll learn from that experience. I thought Trent Gill kicked the ball well on that unit for us, and we got to do a better job pinning people inside the 20. But I was impressed by our rotation, and like I said, the ability to start building depth through game reps is something we need to be able to do, because a lot of our 2 deep is young players. So getting them in the heat of the battle and letting them make plays and also learn from mistakes is really important. And so came out of the game relatively healthy. One, I will tell you, C.J. Riley is out for the season. Did tear his ACL in his other knee. Very positive. I mean, there wasn't a lot of other things going on in there. He'll have surgery. He'll be back. He's been through this before on his other knee. He's very upbeat, but prayers for him from our fan base would be awesome. Everything else was positive as far as the other guys that you saw in the game. Moving on to our next opponent, Western Carolina, another in-state game, and team that has 6 starters on offense and 5 starters on defense back, and you know, a very athletic quarterback. He's their leading rusher a year ago. He's played a lot of football for them. True freshman tailback that we know from Scotland County High School, Shaheem McQueen, that we think's a good player. Tight end, you know, had 8 touchdowns last week, and then 3 receivers that they rotate through. You know, and it's a spread option, zone read option, stretch option, RPO offense. So it'll be a really good fundamental game for our defense. A lot of formations, and then defensively they're very multiple. So a lot different than last week's defense. These guys run a lot of different looks. They're in 3 down, they're in 4 down, multiple coverage team. I think their nose tackle is a really good player, plays hard. Big kid, 6'4", 295. He plays hard on our field goal block unit as well. And their 2 leading tacklers return with their nickel and their middle linebacker. So, you know, always feel like getting into that second game gives a lot of guys visuals of the things they have to do better. whether you get better or not, obviously, is up to your preparation and the product. And so that's our goal, is to be better in week 2 than we are in week 1. And each player has a different role when it comes to that, and our coaching staff has to do a good job of focusing on us. I think it's really important in this game that we really look at ourselves, what we just put on tape, and what can we do better in our second version of this thing, and get out there and be ready for what's coming the week after that. Any questions?
Dave, I know you set standards real high for this team, but for such a young team, how incredible was it to, number one, have no turnovers on Saturday, and number two, with a new center and a new long snapper, have no hiccups in that area?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't tell you, it was so emphasized. I think we got lucky. We did fumble twice and, got both of them back. But to have perfect snaps the whole game, between our center and quarterback, and then I thought Joe Shemko, who was our special teams player of the week for us, his first college start was outstanding. Punt snaps, short snaps. He had a solo tackle on our punt coverage. He did some good things.
Obviously, CJ missed the last 3 quarters. I think he used Josiah and Devin there. Just what do you think of those two guys and how they can fill in that outside spot? And also, is that something Tabari can do? Sounds like he has learned all the spots.
Yeah, Devin Carter's a guy that needs to step up and seize this opportunity for us. He's a big body. He's strong. He's been in that room with those guys and understands by watching last year's crew and now what's expected. And so he needs to seize that moment because he has really good ability and size. The rest of the crew, whether it's Max Fisher or Josiah, Tabari, they're all going to have to know different things. And we just got to do a good job. Obviously Emeka's our guy, but do a good job of using what everybody has to make up for what we lost, and that's their opportunity. And I am excited for Devin because I think, this is what we recruited him to be, is the next big receiver here, and he has all those tools.
Dave, you mentioned Emmanuel McGirt. Outside of that one pre-snap penalty, how do you think he played?
Yeah.
And how gratifying is it to see a guy who's been through as much as he has be able to come in and make a contribution like he did Saturday?
I'm proud of Emmanuel on many levels, and excited that he got a chance to be a starter here and go out and play. There's a lot of things he did well. He played hard, played left and right tackle. We ask a lot of him, to be able to flip-flop like that. And he played hard. He put a lot that play he had on Tabari's reverse out in space was a great block, And there's a lot of film now for him to get better, and I think that's the thing that I know he's excited. He was probably mad at himself on some things, and that's what you want as a guy that's critical. But it's great having him out there. I know he's worked really hard to get to that place.
Obviously, you have to earn it, but State ran for almost 200 yards on Saturday. Do you see the potential of the running game this season taking a step up and maybe run the ball even better than you did last year when you had a 1,000-yard rusher?
Yeah, we need to run the ball better. Whether we have a 1,000-yard rusher or not, we need to rush for more per carry. We need to have more explosive runs. If it's 4 guys rushing for 2,000 yards, that'd be great. So continuing the 1,000-yard rusher thing, I know is always a thing for our O-line. To me, it's more about efficiency in the run game, explosive plays in the run game, and yards per carry in the run game. And we've, as you saw, all 4 of our backs have good ability. We have a chance to be really dynamic there if we can stay healthy.
You mentioned after the game, Peyton Wilson was emotional before the game. How did he do when you look back on the film? How did he perform?
He did a good job. He was aggressive. Hucks blitzed him a lot, which I think was good, just to let him play like that and not have to really diagnose a whole lot. But it was fun to see him make those, tackles for loss in the backfield, and he was productive and had a lot of spirit about him. I think, him and all those guys now will play with more confidence. CJ Hart got in there and played well for his first time at linebacker. Drake Thomas got in there and played well for his first time in a game, and they'll play even better the next time because of that experience they had.
Coach, along those lines, those linebackers, do you expect them to play the rest of the year? You get the 4 games,
Yeah.
But is it, you think it's going to be a situation where they play the whole year?
talking about rotating those guys?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it just depends. It's how they prepare, and they all earn that through training camp because they played really well in practice. So as long as they continue to practice that way and stay healthy, then Dave will reward them playing time. But they can't have a bad week of practice and expect to get an equal rotation. That's not going to happen.
Jarius Moorhead was saying he was surprised that Hux was willing to change some schemes and add some new ideas. For you as a defensive guy and as someone who's been with Hux as long as you have, was it difficult to come to that decision, or was it more of, hey, this is what we have to do to give us the best chance to win?
No, I said this last time, when the season ended, Dave and I sat down because of what we did in the ECU game and talked like, hey, looking at what we have coming back with this linebacking group, we need to be able to think about doing two things. And the whole plan was to have what we used to do with what you saw this weekend. And, we used to have a defensive front where you wouldn't want to take one of those guys off the field, And going into the season, we didn't know that Josh Harris would get hurt in training camp, but we knew C.J. Clark would be out. We didn't know when Deontay Holden would return. There were some question marks, and so we wanted to see how it played out and have both available. And then we get into camp and we lose, I think, 3 or 4 defensive tackles like in a week of camp for an extended period of time, and it forced us into being more one-dimensional from a 3-man front. And so that grew throughout camp, and then the linebackers can get up on the line and create 4-man fronts and 5-man fronts. And as we get healthier and healthier, we have the ability, to get back into some 4 down. But, I think the biggest thing with Hux, he wants his best 11 on the field, And so when you have injuries to the front and the linebackers are healthy, it's pretty obvious what you need to do. And, I've always felt, and Dave is right in line with that, you do what you can with what you have where you are, and you try to recruit your butt off to make sure you don't have those, but we don't control injuries. Unfortunately, some of that stuff's out of our control.
In the 3-3-5 defense, how important is that buck linebacker position with Miller and Wilson as far as being disruptive and being able to make more tackles?
Well, it's unique because they're playing linebacker, and then the next play they're playing D-line, and so they have to have a little hybrid to them. But, it can be a longer guy that can really run. I think we got 2 guys there that fit the bill. When Levi Jones is eligible, he'd be really good in that position as well. And that's what you want, as a guy over 6'3" that can play linebacker and run, but is also, Brock was an edge player in high school. Peyton was a great wrestler in high school. You want that guy that has that, length and core strength that can play against a front guy. Our Mike and Will get in the front as well, but just not probably as much, as our buck does.
With 17 new guys playing for the first time, and you said 10 freshmen, are you surprised at how well it came together? Obviously, knowing that there are things you have to clean up. Or did you see enough in camp to be relatively confident that what you saw on the field Saturday was going to happen?
I'm not going to tell you I knew it was going to happen. I was excited to see them play because they had all shown ability to make us, I don't know the right word, but enough of them had made electric plays in practice where you're hoping that's what happened on game day. My fear was, is game day going to be too big for some of them? You just don't know that. And that's why I said at the beginning, I was really proud of how they handled the moment. I thought those guys really did a good job. I didn't see anybody nervous. They probably were, but it wasn't, obvious. They went out there and just did what they did in practice, which I thought was outstanding. Anybody else? All right, well, we'll keep our eyes on the weather and pray for all the people in Florida right now, and hopefully that thing takes a turn the opposite direction. But I know several of our players are dealing with that back home, and all the kids that we're recruiting down there and family members and everything else. We went through this last year, but prayers go out to all the families in Florida right now, and hope that everything ends up, everybody's safe. You guys have a great afternoon. Appreciate it.
You too, Ken.